All right, folks, we'll kick things off. We're going to start tonight. Andrew is going to give us a little recap of his speech down at the Eastern Federation meeting, where he told the Eastern Federation and the American Federation of Mineralogical and Lapidary Societies. No, I cannot say that 5 times fast. And he's going to share with us his Dirtman report on his time down in North Carolina, hanging out with Daniel Coleman of Digging with Daniel and Doug Hill down there. When he wraps that up, I'm going to do a little digital rock hounding mini lesson with you all about Mindat and how to use Mindat to check to see what minerals are in your area or other areas that you're looking at. And then we are going to defer to our guest speaker, Mr. Ron Sloto, who's going to be giving us a great history of the Wheatley / Perkiomen mines. So we're all looking forward to that. And yeah, then we're going to do a little Q&A with Ron, then we'll open it up for general questions at the end. All right, Andrew, I throw it to you.
All right, everybody. You all probably know from my posts and stuff like that that I went down to North Carolina for the convention. As EFMLS president, I had big roles throughout the week that we were down there. AFMS, which is the national version of the EFMLS, which I'm president of, held their convention at the same time. So I got to talk and interact with people all the way across the country. And there's 7 different federations, and I got to speak with all of them. I got to address them during the national convention meeting for the AFMS. No other federation did. I'd like to read that to you all right now because it shows the importance of what we are and who we are, what we're doing currently with this club. So I wrote this in the car ride down 81 to Hickory, North Carolina, fighting off car sickness. But here it goes. I'd like to briefly share a little about my administration strategy of future-focused, rockhound-focused. Across the board, clubs are experiencing changes in post-COVID rockhound engagement. Needs, expectations, and interactions requirements have evolved, so our organizations must as well. Organizational focus should now prioritize the evolution of the current end-user experience. The EFMLS has taken a bold step with the creation of an experimental new club built with the future-focused, rockhound-focused concept, asking one question while creating every aspect of club operations. How can we do this better for the rockhound? Geology Club has been an overwhelming and humbling success. The over 75 people signed up for the first meeting, free meeting on Zoom, has converted into a steady stream of dues payments. After only 2 weeks, this is as of the convention, with an online payment system set up, we have had 50 paid members and counting. Currently today, right now, it's 91. Thank you all. Future-focused, rockhound-focused is already working. And as successes grow, we hope to provide a new model for club operations everywhere. To learn more and share in the successful rockhound engagement, contact me. So after my address and after the meeting, I had everyone in the room basically come up to me over the next 24 hours and say how amazing the ideas I had expressed in the meeting and that all they were so interested. I had so many people asking, what are we doing? How can we do this? How can we get people into our shows? It's been amazing to position our club, this Geology Club, on a national level. We are going to continue to evolve and bring you brand new innovations and new things. So if anyone has any ideas, we're open to listen. send it our way. newgeologyclub@gmail.com. Reach out to one of us on social. It's all good. But this is the first of its kind, and we're being looked at a national level at this point. So with that, having said that, that was Thursday. The very next day, I went and filmed this. Mr. Coleman, so nice to meet you.
Andrew, how's it going?
How are you?
Good, good.
This is an amazing day.
It's an amazing day. It's sunny out. It's all right.
I'm ready to do some digging.
Let's do some digging. Yeah.
Man here, and I'm here in Conover, North Carolina, with the legend Daniel Coleman, digging with Daniel and Douglas Hill, another legend right here from the North Carolina community. Thank you guys for having me. This is awesome.
We're so glad to have you all the way from Pennsylvania.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Drove down here, had to come see these guys. So we're gonna do some fun stuff, look for some radioactive minerals. Turns out North Carolina's a lot more radioactive than Pennsylvania. We're gonna see that. So, all right, we'll find a couple crystals along the way. Let's do it.
Let's rock it.
So as I sat down over there and started to try to chip away at the clay, it was like rock hard. So, I mean, it reminded me of a brick, literally like a mud brick. So you've dug all these holes through mud brick.
Yeah, basically. Mud, hard mud brick. This Catawba County has some of the richest iron red clay I've ever ran into. So right now we're digging through the first upper layer, which is called the alluvial or the float layer. You'll see the tree roots that are within this. And so the land was moved and pushed around at some point in time, and then water came through and spread the rocks around. So in the areas where there's crystals within the first foot or so, wherever you find a crystal within the first 2 feet of the ground, then you go down. Anywhere between 2 to 10 feet, we'll find a vein system in North Carolina.
So that's 2 to 10 foot of brick that you got to go through.
Anywhere between that zone, and then once you find it, you follow it from there.
Yeah.
When I go around, I'll poke the dirt and see if there's any quartz or hear any rock. And once I do,
Right there.
we'll see what it is. Now, whether it's something valuable or not is the question.
Right.
All right, so this is part of the, I wouldn't say junk stone, but I'm going to call it a part of the bedrock. You can see it's easily scratchable with a nail. All right, it's full of iron, rich in iron, probably a decomposition of iron as well. It's in the rock, and that's sort of the reason why the clay is super red here, is because of the iron.
Yeah.
Oh, but look at that.
And right behind it.
And right behind it was a little couple of faces on a crystal. Listen, that happened right on camera.
Yeah.
It's a little one. You know, we did
Right behind the junk rock, and
right
there it
behind
is.
the uglies are the pretties.
Yeah.
So I call this the 50 rock rule. So you go through a whole bunch of ugly rocks before you find something pretty.
Yeah.
Right, so don't give up.
Nope.
If you find 50 rocks and not one of them is pretty, then move to another area until you do.
Well, fortunately, when we were just walking around here, I already found a good crystal point. So I got 50 more to go before I get the next one.
I love a good one.
Guess it's back to work for me. I want to see what that meter does.
Looking at my radio code, I figured I'd bust it out and see if we can find anything radioactive.
Finding anything?
Well, it's climbing up a little bit.
Over a baseline of like below 30? Or...
No,
we're higher than that everywhere here.
Really?
Yeah, North Carolina's got pretty good.
Yeah.
Really? So where's the baseline down here?
Say we're usually right about 100, right?
Holy crap.
with the radio code, no, it's I would guess somewhere between 300 and 500.
Okay.
What? Okay, so Dirtman Report, Rockhound Rock Hazards, we were in this man-made cave that was radioactive. That was hitting at about 680. 678! We're all gonna die! Oh no! North Carolina. Wow, it's hot down here.
Lots of old granite. Think of that. Don't walk by my truck.
All right, we'll have to do
I
that.
have a lot of stuff in the truck.
All right, so we came back over to the truck. Here we go. It's got a radioactive symbol on it, so it's got to be good.
This is Torbernite from Mitchell County, North Carolina.
How hot is that?
Pretty hot. I see we'll get a radio code over here in just a second.
Yeah. You're getting more than an x-ray right now, probably, right?
We're getting more than a couple x-rays probably, right?
Oh, boy. All right. Here we go.
So this is what I call the Eye of Sauron.
Look at that.
This is uraninite, clarkite, gumite, torbernite, and more uraninite coming through veins. More uraninite, clarkite, gumite,
Wow.
all coming through. This is very hot. You have your radio code out?
So these types of minerals are not for everyone. Most people don't even want them in their house. He's carrying them around in his truck. So whatever you do, don't steal this guy's truck.
This is only a small portion of the collection too.
What's this meter called?
It's a radio code.
So this is a different device than what Doug and I were using up in the cave in Pennsylvania. This was probably a lot more sensitive. We were using the base model. 45. So I'm used to hundreds of picoliters, I guess it would be, right?
Those are counts per minute.
Okay.
Right? See here, it's another way to measure.
So at 45, how much can you tolerate? We were seeing 45 on that eye of...
Sleep around it.
Yeah, right? Going nuts in there. Oh, yeah. That one's already listed at 12,000 CPM.
Yeah.
So let's see what 12,000 CPM on this different scale meter is. So we're hitting 47, 50, 67. Had a 67 in there. Averaging, oh, there's a 74, 79. Ooh, that's a hot one.
That's a spicy meatball.
So very cool stuff that you can find down here in North Carolina. We do have certain sections of Pennsylvania with, you know, like the Ecton mine and stuff like that, that does have our radioactive specimens. Probably not nearly as hot as this stuff, but a little bit different collecting down here in North Carolina. Very cool. Been a great day here at Conover. Thank you, Daniel. This is just awesome site. I mean, everything from quartz crystals to the mica mine, the barrow mine, everything. Very cool. I gotta say, your mud is like brick, and wow, they've got it cut out for them. Real men here getting this stuff out of the ground. So, thank you, Scott. Great job with that radio. What was it?
Radio code.
Radio code. And thank you for all your knowledge, Douglas. That's awesome. Great to meet all of you. And Corey had a great time as well. See you next time.
Next time.
All right. Well, I hope everyone was able to see that. I'm watching all this through my cell phone, and it was about skipping. It was crazy. But yeah, this will go up probably next week. This will play at the Central PA Rock and Mineral Club meeting on Thursday, and probably on Jerry Jones's Rock Room next week. And then we'll hit it up on Facebook and YouTube and all that. So I have two more that I filmed when I was in North Carolina. They're exciting as well. So stay tuned. And yeah, that's about all I've got. We are, I do want to just update real quick. We are now an official legal entity with both Pennsylvania and the federal government. We have been approved as nonprofit. So you all, I want to thank every single one of you for paying some guy named Andrew Weppig, whoever that guy is, who knows. But just so you all know, that's me, my real name. Now we'll be able to transition that account into a nonprofit Geology Club account. We couldn't do that prior to getting the federally issued FEIN number, FE, whatever. number. We have that now, so that'll be happening. So thank you all for putting up with paying some guy named Andrew Eppig, and welcome to the club, everyone, and thank you all for your support. I'm going to turn it back over to Jake.
All right. Well, first, I want to say thank you to Sylvia, your mother, for actually getting us sorted with all of that, because the three of us, we put through maybe good efforts, but in the end, we needed some adult supervision, and Sylvia took care of the nitty gritty for us.
So,
Andrew, I just go,
So real quick, Sylvia Eppig is one, my mom, and two, is a nonprofit accountant. She's also the EFMLS accountant. She's the treasurer for the EFMLS. So she's very experienced. She knows what she's doing. So she helped us out with, getting this all set up legally. And it's been great. So thank you, Mom. Everyone give Sylvia a round of applause. And thank you all.
all right. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we gave credit where credit was due. All right. Let's real quick. I put this book out like 2 months ago. It is a most boring read. I know that's not a good sell on a book, but I don't want to pretend this is gripping material. It is educational. It is a guide. But we're gonna dive into one little quick section. I think it's the most helpful thing I can show you to start with. The book goes through how to document all of your finds using Google Sheets and Google Word Docs. But let's get down to a little nitty gritty. Here's a site. If you're not using, you ought to be, and that is mindat.org. What I'm going to show you quickly tonight is to answer a question many people ask. What rocks are in my area, and what is this rock I found? So let's start off by, we're just going to type in Pennsylvania. I've already got that in here. Give that a second. All right, this is the page it lands on. This shows many references in that area. You're going to go down here and just select Pennsylvania, USA. Now, this will give you the map here, which shows you all of the sites listed on MnDAP, but that's not our focus for this quick tutorial. Let's scroll down to the bottom. Now, this is a list of all the minerals that are documented on MnDAP that have been found in Pennsylvania. You can occupy yourself with that, and we'll go into more detail on how to use that list. But for today, we're going to look at counties. So down here at the bottom are a list of all the counties where where there's listings for. For simplicity, we're just going to grab Berks County. You click on Berks County, it shows you all the listed sites in Berks. But if you scroll down, it gives you the list of all the minerals that have been found in Berks County. To the left here, there's little eyes next to the different types of minerals. Let's do prehnite. If you click on that eye, it will now show you the specific sites listed on MnDAP where prehnite's been found. All right. Now, if you put it together, this also will allow you, just by going back to Berks County, if you are in Berks County, you can go and see what minerals have been found in your county or any of the counties in Pennsylvania. That is all I'm going to show you for tonight, but that will help you out both identifying finds you found by location and just seeing what is in the area either you're in or that you'd like to explore. And that is a quick MnDAP minute. All right.
That was awesome, Jake.
Yeah, just real quick, direct to the point, answer the question and get right to it.
So real quick, I just want to say I forgot about the giveaway tonight.
Oh, great.
I totally forgot. So having to do with my Dirtman report, we have a bunch of North Carolina specimens. So these are beautiful mica book clusters. The camera is never going to do these justice,
No.
but there is one piece of mica book that's standard, mica, but the other four are just spectacular, sparkly mica book. Sorry, trying to keep it. They're beautiful. So these were collected by Corey Rockhound.
Of course they were.
I was too busy filming.
As ever.
And actually, I believe these were found the day I was panning gold while she was digging. This was Shelby, I think. These were from Shelby, right? Yeah. All right. So the next Dirtman report will be me finding the best gold in my life in the stream with crystals while Corey was finding these. So either way, this is going to be the giveaway for tonight. So everyone who is on this while we are watching Dr. Ron Sloto's presentation, start putting numbers into everyone gets one number, pick a number between 1 and 200. And actually we don't have that many. We have 28. So 1 and 100.
Yeah,
Between 1 and 100. And closest one to the number that we pick with a random generator will win it. I will personally ship it to you. I pay for shipping for these giveaways with the funds that come off the videos on my Facebook videos. So I don't try to keep any of the money I make. I always try to put it back out to the public. So this is how we're going to do it. So after Ron's presentation, we're going to pick that number. Just wanted to give you a preview. Sorry, I forgot about it after my Dirtman report.
Well, that's okay, because I forgot something too. If folks on this Zoom, and I'll send an email out eventually to the entire membership of Geology Club. If you're interested in local to Pennsylvania radioactive minerals, at some point between now and the summer, we'll schedule a field trip out to the C.K. Williams quarries in Easton, and there's definitely the presence of some low-grade radioactive minerals there. That's a great location. Before we dive into Ron, we're just going to go through the Friends of Geology Club spotlights. Let me jump to the next one here. Who's up first? Well, don't forget to sign up for Jerry Jones's Rock Room. Jerry's email's on there, and Andrew, like he said, does his Dirtman reports on there. Jerry's a supporter of the club and just an all-around heck of a good guy. So we're big supporters of Jerry Jones's Rock Room. Andrew, I'm going to let you talk about the next one. We're not there yet. No, we're going to get to Robert. He's our last one.
Oh, Frank comes up later. All right, good.
Yeah, Frank Beard, drummer of ZZ Top. All right, I'll let you talk about Geology 365, and Jeannie is next. You can just keep following along.
Ryan Clockner, Geology 365. This is the best management software for your collection. You have for free up to 5,000 specimens or something like that you can make your own labels for your perky boxes or however your display is set up. You can just catalog things. You can set prices on things. You can get a total value of your collection if you're insuring your collection. It's great software. You can also have club management software. We are currently managing our club on Geology 365, and we'll be even further. All of our membership will be going through Geology 365 here in the future. Now that we have the federal ID number, we can set all that up. So very great free tools for everyone, whether you're managing a club or just managing your own collection.
All right, let's talk about Jeannie Smith, who I just saw set up a display at one of the libraries up by her. Make sure you follow her on Facebook. And there we go.
Sorry, it happened to be sitting right here.
That worked out.
The book is Herkimer Diamond Detective Learn and Discern. She wrote this about, Herkimer diamonds up in New York. It's her thing. But she also does this kit. She includes the magnifying glass and all kinds of specimens. Very cool thing. It's geared for teachers and rock clubs like us that want to teach about that kind of stuff. So, I'll probably utilize this little kit here in the future if we have some kind of picnic or something, club engagement. We can just do a side little lesson thing. So yeah, very cool. Jeannie Smith, she's a member of the club as well. So
Here he is.
all right. My man Frank Beard. No, sorry, it's an internal joke. Jake just explained. What Jake has on the screen is the first edition of these books. I am here to say that don't buy this book. Buy this book. This is the second edition. It's updated and it is current with all the current sites here in Pennsylvania, down to GPS coordinates, all that kind of thing. The biggest thing is, besides, the signed edition here from Robert Beard, is that in the acknowledgments section, check this out, everybody. There I am. I'm the first one he acknowledges. Andrew Dirtman Rockhound. Just had to show that. But basically, I filmed a Dirtman report with him at Grub Lake on the Gertite bombs. Since then, you're not really allowed to collect there. But as long as you don't take the rock, you can go find all the Gertite bombs you want. You just have to go down to the other end of the lake and break them open. Take some pictures, post them up. Just don't take them if you want to be legal. I mean, and we fully want to make sure that everyone out there is legal and not doing the wrong thing. But for educational use, you can still go find them and learn what they are. So check this book
And if
out.
you want to collect Gertite, you can get signed up for the Orland excursion, where I'll be taking everybody out to a place you can collect one of my favorite minerals of all time. Sorry, got to do the plug.
Yeah. No, I am all about the education. And Bob and I were able to teach an entire lesson while, not disturbing the park. So
We do not want to anger Jerry Jones.
right.
All right.
Actually,
Well,
that was the first time I found Jake's that's how I met Jake, was that day Frank Beard,
great.
Bob Beard there, because Jake had done a stash drop, and we
That
all
was
do
one of the
stash drops.
first stashes from the original group that I ever did.
Yep. And that I found it, and that's in the Dirtman report. So look that Dirtman report up on YouTube.
That's a fairly historic Dirtman report at this point.
Yeah, right?
So, well, listen, you may or may not have come to hear Andrew and I babble on a little bit, but let's be honest, you're here for Ron Sloto. So without further ado, Ron has offered and put together a brand new presentation, the Phoenixville area lead mines in Chester County. If you don't know Ron, I don't know how, if you're a Pennsylvania rockhound. His books, the Mines and Minerals series, are hands down absolute tomes for local rockhounds. They're an amazing collection of history, locations, photographs, ephemera copies you won't find anywhere else. So without much more fanfare, I want to once again, and Ron's sick of me saying this, I'm sure at this point, but thank him for doing this for us. When we started the club, he was the first name I brought up, and we all agreed that if we could get him as soon as we could, we'd get him on. And then he was so gracious as to offer to do a fresh talk for us. So let me get Ron's presentation loaded up, and I will give the floor to Ron.
All right, thank you.
All right, ready when you are, sir.
All right. Well, thank you for taking time out from your schedules to listen to what I have to say tonight. I'll be talking about the Phoenixville area lead mines in Chester County next. There were actually 11 lead mines and prospects that operated in the Phoenixville district. Many of these were small holes in the ground. They didn't really produce much. The major ones were the Wheatley mine, Chester County mine, Montgomery County mine, and the Brookdale mine. The Southwest Chester County mine is on the Chester County mine property. Next. So here's a map, a topographic map that shows the locations of where the mines are in relation to Phoenixville, which is about the center top. The Morris mine is shown on there. That was another one of Charles Wheatley's mines. It was a copper mine right in the borough of Phoenixville. Next. The mines are all located in felsic and intermediate gneiss. It's a Precambrian rock formation. The ore bodies are hydrothermal mineralized veins. They were formed by faulting that occurred through tectonic events in the gneiss, and you had a lot of openings up. It was brecciated, and you had fluids, silica and metal-bearing fluids that came up from beneath the ore bodies and got deposited in the openings. The ore bodies are approximately 200 million years old. So when you're out at the Brookdale mine, you find some pyromorphite and you're holding it in your hand, you're holding a mineral that's about 200 million years old. Next. It's a typical supergene replacement ore body. It's actually sort of layered. The top layer is a leached gossan, which is basically a iron stained quartz, and all the metals that were up in that part of the ore body were leached out and deposited lower. In the oxidized zone, you have the oxide minerals. The enrichment zone, you have your sulfide minerals. And down at the very bottom, you have your primary mineralization, which is typically here just galena and sphalerite. Next. I had this chart put together by one of my graduate students. It's not exactly accurate, but what it does show is that different minerals occur at different depths in the ore body. So you'll see the 75-meter zone, which is 246 feet below land surface. The only one that reached that depth was the Wheatley mine. So at the Wheatley mine, you'll find things like hemimorphite, fluorite, dolomite, that you will not find in any of the other mines because the shafts did not penetrate the ore body deeply enough. Next. This is Charles Wheatley. He was the mover and shaker behind practically all the mining in the Phoenixville area. He was a resident of Phoenixville. Lower left-hand corner is a label from his mineral collection, written in his own handwriting. And the only way you know it's Charles Wheatley is down in the very left bottom corner. It says CMW, Charles Moore Wheatley. Next. There's some highlights on his life. He was born in England, and he and his family emigrated to the United States when he was a young boy. His first mine, he's basically self-taught when he was growing up, taught himself mineralogy. And his first mining position was in the Bristol copper mines in Connecticut in 1846. And he did a very good job. He was very popular with the miners, and he did not hesitate to get down in the mine and work with the miners in the mine. The owners of the Bristol copper mine also owned the Perkiomen mines in Montgomery County. So they moved him down there in 1849 because they were having difficulties with their mines. In 1850, he started looking for lead ore in Chester County and found some, which, you know, really isn't surprising because the Wheatley mine is a stone's throw from the Chester County mine, which was already an operating lead mine at that time. But in 1852, he quit as the manager of the Perkiomen mines to work full-time at his own mine. And he formed the Wheatley Mining Company with the owners of the Perkiomen mines. He was also worked the Brookdale, Phoenix, Charleston, and Morris mines. Next. The Wheatley mine got down to about 300 feet, and they had a lot of trouble with water inflow. It was a very wet mine, and they really couldn't go any deeper unless they got a more powerful pumping engine. So he and the owners of the Perkiomen mine formed the Pennsylvania Lead Company in 1855, and tried to raise money for a new engine. But when the Panic of 1857 hit, they went bankrupt. So even though they were in operation for 2 years, they never worked the mines. Next. So then you had about a 10-year hiatus in mining. And during the Civil War, there was a lot of demand for lead, of course. So the New York and Boston Silver Lead Company was formed to mine the Wheatley and other mines in the Phoenixville area. Next. So Wheatley, the mover and shaker that he was, saw the opportunity there. So he purchased the property, machinery, and mineral rights of the Wheatley, Brookdale, Morris, and Charlestown mine for $100,000 on March 1st. About a month later, this New York and Boston Silver Lead Company was formed, and he sold everything to the company for $130,000. So that's a $30,000 profit in 1864 money, which is about $670,000 in 2025 dollars. So in 1 month, he made himself a lot of money on the lead mines without ever having to do any mining. Next. This is a cross section of the Wheatley mine. It was the largest mine in the area. It's 6,916 feet of workings. If you look at the cross section, the dark areas are the stoped out areas. That's where they found and removed the ore. And as you could see, as you get down from the surface, it gets wider and larger. So you got a lot more ore with depth, and that's why they needed to go deeper and why they needed a larger engine. Next. This is a drawing of what the Wheatley mine looked like in 1853. Next. And this is a photograph taken in 1885 of the remains of the Wheatley mine. So you see the engine, the smokestack, the engine building where the steam engine was, and you can also see parts of the head frame, and they're just sitting in a big cornfield. Next. The Brookdale mine was opened by Wheatley in 1852. It got to be 192 feet deep. Now, we're all aware of environmental things that go on today. Things like people polluting streams, diminishing stream flow and water levels by pumping groundwater. Well, in 1853, John Chrisman, whose property the Chester County mine was on, sued Charles Wheatley for polluting and diminishing the flow of the stream that was used to water his livestock. Wheatley lost in court. He appealed it. He took it up to the state Supreme Court, and they upheld it. So because he was polluting the stream and diminishing it by pumping the water, he lost his battle in court, and he had to stop pumping. If you can't pump water out of your mine, you can't mine. And that's what caused the Brookdale mine to close in 1853. Next. I've collected a lot at the Brookdale mine, and there's these iron, I don't know what they are, iron things sticking up out of the ground there by the smokestack. And I was told that that is what marked where the shaft was. Well, one day the seal on the shaft failed and fell down into the shaft, and it was open, and you could look down into it, and it was pretty amazing. Now, this mine was closed in 1853, but you can see all the timbering down there. You could see piping. You could see a ladder that ran down the shaft down to water level. It was actually pretty amazing to see. Where that is where there's, right now, there's a PVC pipe that comes out of the ground, which is where they get the water to water the golf course. And underneath it is the mine shaft. Next. This is a cross section of the Brookdale mine. Again, the The darker parts show the stoped out areas where they remove the ore. And there's one thing you can note, there's an adit that comes out at the land surface from the Brookdale mine. I'm not sure where that is, but somewhere around on that property, there's a caved adit that actually leads into the mine itself. Next. This is a drawing of the surface workings. You can see the shaft in the middle, the dumps around it. And if you look up to the left of that, there's another shaft and a dump around that. That was, I guess, an air shaft or an auxiliary shaft. But when the golf course was a dairy farm, we would go up there and to that shaft, and we would collect. The only thing we found there was a massive sphalerite and a massive galena, and it kind of disappeared when they converted the dairy farm into a golf course. Now, okay, next, please. The other big mine was the Chester County Mining Company. This is a stock certificate from the company, and if you look at the top center there, you see a covered bridge. If you're familiar with the Route 29 bridge over the Schuylkill River, which links Phoenixville and Montclair, that is the original bridge. It was a railroad bridge, a covered railroad bridge. And of course, the railroads in those days threw a lot of sparks and fire. And of course, the bridge caught fire, burnt down, and then they converted it to a roadway bridge. Next. So the Chester County mine was started in 1847. It was believed by Welsh miners. They don't really know for sure, but the miners were not able to smelt the ore and abandon the mine. So a lot of the ore is pyromorphite. The Chester County Mining Company began operations in 1850, and a guy by the name of Dendy Sherwood was the mine manager. Well, he's a pretty smart guy. He figured out how to smelt the ore, and in fact built a lead smelter on the property in 1851. He also put together I think it was called a Pattison furnace that was able to extract silver from the ores. And there's trace silver in the pyromorphite and in the galena. The smelter operated until 1855, which is when the Wheatley mine closed down because they got a lot of their ore from the Wheatley mine, and that was pretty much it for the Chester County mine. Next, please. This is a cross section of the Chester County mine, and you'll notice on the right, the stoped out area gets awfully close to the land surface. So there's only a very thin layer between the mine workings and the ground surface. And I wasn't around at the time, but I've been told that when Hurricane Agnes came through in 1972, that with all the water, it actually caused that part of the mines to collapse, and you could actually walk down into the mine at that point. That's, anyway, rumors that I've heard of that happening. Next, please. This is what the ruins of the smelter looked like in 1855. These are some of the oldest photographs of the Chester County mines that exist. And they're at the U.S. Geological Survey Library in Denver, Colorado. That's where I found them. Next. This is a stock certificate from the Great Eastern Mining and Manufacturing Company, next, which is part of the last chapter in the mining at Phoenixville. World War I, of course, that prompted a lot of mining in the area because there was a lot of demand for metals. So they reopened the Wheatley mine and retimbered it. And they also sunk the Southwest Chester County mine at that time. So the Southwest Chester County mine only dates from about 1917 to 1920. So it's not as old as the other mines. They did ship zinc and lead concentrates that they got from the Wheatley mine and the Southwest Chester County mine till about 1920. In 1923, the Pennsylvania Lead and Zinc Company and the Great Eastern Mining and Manufacturing Company tried to resume operations, but they were not able to raise enough money to resume mining, and that was it for the mining in the Phoenixville area. Next. Phoenixville minerals, especially pyromorphite, are world famous. In fact, back in the day in the 1850s, 1860s, the minerals that came out of the mines in Phoenixville were considered among the world's best for their species. Here you have pyromorphite gracing the covers of Lapidary Journal and Matrix. And I just like to point out and brag a little bit. This is the only time one of my photographs made the cover of a magazine. That's on Lapidary Journal. And I was paid an entire $35 for them to use the photograph on the cover. So I guess that makes me a professional photographer. Next. You'll find Phoenixville minerals on display, most major museums throughout the world. This one is on display at the Natural History Museum of Vienna, in Vienna, Austria. Next. Charles Wheatley was a mineral collector as well as a mine manager. He amassed quite a large mineral collection. He had the good fortune, since he owned the mines, that he was able to go down in the mines and collect in the mines with the miners. So some of the best stuff went into his collection. During the financial panic of 1857, he was forced to sell his mineral collection, and it was purchased by Edward C. Delavan for $10,000. That doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it's equal to $388,000 in 2025 dollars. And Delavan donated his collection to Union College in Schenectady, New York. So I've given various versions of presentations on the Phoenixville mines to various groups, but I'm going to do something I've never done before tonight. Next. We're going to take a little trip to Schenectady, New York, and look at some of the minerals in the Wheatley collection. Next. This is what his collection looks like. It's both sides of the room. These are just beautiful custom-made cabinets. Next. And when you open the drawers, it's just full of the most amazing Phoenixville specimens you could ever hope to see in your entire life. Next. And again, you know, he was the owner of the mine, so he got to find and keep the best stuff. Next. This is once about 8 inches across. It's unusual because it's has the pointed habitat of the pyromorphite crystals. Usually you see that in very, very tiny specimens, and not something as big as this. Next. It's another one. This is about 9 inches across. It's the more common 6-sided barrel-shaped crystals. Next. 2 other kinds of habits that are in this collection. In the lower right is the hopper type of crystals. They're hollow. And in the upper left is the botryoidal pyromorphite. And you can find some of this occasionally on the Brookdale mine dumps. Next. This was in his collection from the Brookdale mine, and I have found stuff that looks pretty much exactly like this, the same exact matrix at the Brookdale mine. The weird thing is his label says it's mimetite, and I analyzed mine, and mine is definitely pyromorphite. Next. Some anglesite crystals. Anglesite crystals, people sometimes can't tell anglesite and cerussite apart. The anglesite crystals tend to be rather blocky. The one on the lower right, typically you will find them associated with galena and often in cavities in the galena. Next. These are really unusual. These are snow white anglesite crystals. I don't think I've ever seen them anywhere else before. And you could see it in the upper right-hand one. It's in the cavity and galena. You can see the galena cleavage is down in part of that. Next, cerussite, the one in the upper right, upper left, is probably the most fantastic cerussite specimen. Very lustrous, elongated, clear to whitish crystals sitting on a bed of pyromorphite. And in the lower right, twin crystals of cerussite sitting on some limonite. Next. And those actually form sixlings of cerussite, which I've never seen anywhere in anybody's collection ever. Next. Here's a nice one. It has 3 different minerals on one specimen. Cerussite in the middle, and it's surrounded by malachite and azurite. Next. These are some nice, well-formed, large azurite crystals from the Wheatley mine. Next. Much of the galena is cubic, nice group of cubic galena crystals. And the only galena that was from the Brookdale mine that was in the Wheatley collection is down on the lower right. And it's massive, does not have crystals. Next. A beautiful group of calcite crystals. These are only found at the Wheatley mine because it's the only mine that got deep enough to get into them. Next. Here's a beautiful specimen of very rich specimen of malachite that's in the Wheatley collection. The only things I've ever found is little specks and little pieces of it, but this one is just phenomenal. Next. And wolfenites, I found wolfenites at the Brookdale mine. They're orange and they're tabular crystals, and they're very sparse. Here we have bladed crystals as well as tabular crystals. Next. And very rich. You have many wolfenite crystals on the matrix. Next. And lastly, a couple of really odd ones. The upper left-hand corner is sort of an odd-looking massive yellow stuff, and that was labeled as mimetite from the Brookdale mine. And the lower right is labeled as celestine, which I've never seen listed in any publication or any list of minerals from the Phoenixville mines, but Wheatley had one in his collection. And it's there at Union College. Next. All right, we're going to look at some minerals now from the Wheatley mines. Pyromorphite being probably the most popular mineral for collecting. And that varies from black through all kinds of shades of brown and through all kinds of shades of green, from deep dark green to a very light green color. Next. These are 2 that I collected at the Brookdale mine. The upper left is bright yellow hexagonal crystals, which I immediately figured was mimetite, being yellow and hexagonal, so that's what I labeled it. In the lower right, in the group of green pyromorphite crystals were some yellow pyromorphite crystals, so I figured, well, they must be mimetite too, so that's what I labeled them. Now, I did once in a while, I do a little article for the Friends of Mineralogy newsletter called, Is It What the Label Says It Is? And I will take something that is questionable and I will analyze it and see if it is actually what the label says it is. So I did that for these. Being at Westchester University, I have the very good fortune of having access to analytical tools. So I have access to an XRD, an SEM, and an EDS. So I analyzed these to see what they actually are. Next. And they're both pyromorphite, yellow pyromorphite, not mimetite. Next. Mimetite and pyromorphite are what is known as analogs. They have the exact same chemical formula, except pyromorphite has phosphate, PO4, phosphorus and oxygen, and mimetite has arsenate, which is arsenic and oxygen. So they're identical, chemically identical in their crystal form, except one is an arsenate and the other is a phosphate. Next. These I think are really cool. Pyromorphite coating galena. Sometimes they look like galena crystals that are green, and it's just a coating of pyromorphite on top of it. Next. These are some fantastic anglicite crystals. The one down in the lower left, 4 big blocky crystals and a vug of galena. Generally, if they're blocky crystals like this, they're anglicite. Otherwise, they're cerussite. Most of the white crystals that you find in the Southwest Chester County mine and the Brookdale mine, the vast majority are going to be cerussite and not anglicite. Next. These are some of the forms of cerussite that are formed from the lower left is your typical crystal. Above it is snow white bladed crystals. To the upper right, those are twin crystals. And lower right is the jackstraw variety of cerussite. Next. This is another one I found at the Brookdale mine. It looks gray in a photograph, but in regular light, it's black. So I had these black crystals, and I really didn't know what they were. I used to work with 3 or 4 other guys that were mineral collectors, and sometimes when it was a really nice day in the spring, summer, fall, we'd knock off early work on a Friday afternoon, get some beer, and at the time, it was still the Thompson's dairy farm. We'd go up to the Brookdale mine on the dairy farm, and we'd do a little collecting and just have an enjoyable afternoon. And during the course of this happening, the Thompson family decided to, they found out, or I guess they just couldn't make a living as a dairy farm anymore. And they did not want to sell their land to a developer. They did not want it to become a housing development. So they decided what they would do is to make it into a golf course that would preserve the land. It would be open, and they would still have a business that they could have to earn a living. So I think, I don't know if this is true, but I was told that Mr. Thompson had 7 sons. So he and his sons set to work to turn their dairy farm into a golf course. They sold off all the cows, they bought some heavy equipment, and they turned the farm into the golf course themselves. And while they were doing that, we asked one of his sons who was operating a backhoe, said, "Can we pay you to dig a trench through the Brookdale mine?" And he said, "No, I can't really accept money to do that." I said, "Well, how about a couple of cases of beer? Would that work?" He said that would work. So he dug this trench right through the middle of the Brookdale dumps. It was probably about 4 or 5 feet deep. It was below the water table because there was standing water in the bottom of it. My best stuff came out of that trench, and this was one of them. Next. So I analyzed this, and turned out to be cerussite, black cerussite. Next, galena from the Wheatley mine. Galena, basically 2 different forms, the cubic form and the cuboctahedron form, 2 basic forms that occur there. Next. Sphalerite is well crystallized. I've got a couple of nice sphalerite crystals from the Southwest Chester County mine, so you can find it there. Lower left-hand corner is kind of a gemmy, almost translucent honey brown sphalerite crystals. Next. Barite is actually fairly common. Most of the time, it's just a white, massive rock. Most people don't even recognize it and don't give it a second thought. But once you learn what it is, you could figure out pretty easy when you encounter barite. Again, most of it's massive, but it does crystallize. So you have the crystal similar to the kind you find in Morocco on lower left, and some very lustrous brown elongated crystals on the upper right there. Next. Fluorite again is only from the Wheatley mine because it was the only mine that got deep enough to encounter it. Most of the fluorite is white, although occasionally you will get some yellow fluorite and some tan colored fluorite. And most of the crystals are multiple growth. So if you look at the white one, it kind of looks a little fuzzy, and that's because it's just multiple growth, many crystal faces. But you do get individual crystals every once in a while. Next. Quartz, very common mineral. The one on the right is in the Westchester University Geology Museum. It's about 8 inches tall. It's a really interesting multiple growth crystal. The lower left, it's big and ugly, but it is a sceptered quartz crystal, so you can find scepters there. Next. Hemimorphite, 3 different looking types of crystals, again, only from the Wheatley mine because it was the only one deep enough. Next. A couple of natives. Lower right is a native silver. It's tarnished, so it looks like black wires. And upper left, towards the middle, it's kind of a little hard to see, but it's sort of a greenish yellow crystals. Those are sulfur crystals, and they're associated with galena. I had this in my collection probably for many years before I noticed there was actually tiny sulfur crystals on it. And I did check this, and it is sulfur. Next. This is one upper left-hand corner that was recently collected at the Southwest Chester County mine. It's the kind of dark brownish, almost blackish mineral sort of in the center, and that's discloisite. And I did check that with the SEM. It is discloisite, and on the lower right is what they look like under high magnification. Next. Another one that was collected at the Southwest Chester County mine is vanadinite. They form typically elongated, very tiny elongated root beer colored crystals. And vanadinite, again, is an analog of mimetite and pyromorphite. It's got the same amount of lead, same amount of chlorine, and instead of having phosphate or arsenate, it has vanadinite, VO4. But otherwise, it's identical chemically, except for the vanadium, and form 6-sided small crystals. Next. These are some SEM images of what the crystals look like. The blockier crystals on the upper left, and the more elongated crystals on the lower right. Next. This is 2 more from, is the label what it says it is? On the upper left, serpentine. It's a little white material in the dead center, and that's what it actually turned out to be. And the one in the lower right, it was labeled azurite from the Chester County mine, turned out to be linerite. If you find, next one, if you find blue minerals in these mines, there's probably a 99% chance they are linerite and not azurite. And if you find a green mineral that isn't fibrous, there's a really good chance it's chrysocolla, especially if it's associated with the linerite. So this piece here, one could look at it and say, oh, well, there's azurite and malachite, but in reality, it's linerite and chrysocolla. All right, next. Now it's time for the shameless plug part of my program. Most of what I've talked about today and some of the pictures are in the Mines and Minerals of Chester County, which are available from Amazon. When I originally published the Mines and Minerals of Chester County. It had a color, about 15 color pages bound into it. I had it printed by a local printer. And when I had 300 copies made, which I didn't realize at the time when they were loading it to my car weighed so much, I was afraid I was going to break the springs on my car. But when they were sold out, I went down to get them reprinted, but the printer was out of business. So I went to print on demand, which is how Amazon does it. And they could not mix color and grayscale. And people really liked the color photographs. So I added a whole bunch more and put out a supplement with for Chester County next. And as Jake mentioned, I have similar books for Berks, Bucks, Montgomery, and just out this past fall, Delaware County, which is my first full color book. They upped the size limit for the manuscript, so I was able to get color into that. And currently, I'm working on the Mines and Minerals of Philadelphia.
Oh,
okay.
That's an exciting announcement.
So that'll probably be out, I would guess, at least a year from now. I have to do the photography for it, which involves visiting, well, my principal places where I photograph minerals: the Carnegie Museum in Pittsburgh, the Bryn Mawr collection, and Steve Carter's collection up in the Poconos. And I haven't even begun that yet. So I've got a lot of writing done, and 100 sites located in Philadelphia on the map.
That's great, Ron. And listen, what an amazing talk. Everyone, can we get at least a Zoom hand clapping there to thank Ron for a great presentation. I don't know about you. I've seen some pictures of that collection, but nothing like what I just saw for the last 20 minutes. My mind is absolutely blown by some of the crystals from that collection. And what a great history of those mines. And thank you so much for putting that together.
Yeah,
My pleasure.
thank you. I just wanted to say Schenectady is actually right down the road from Mohawk Valley Mineral Mining, so I might have to stop by there sometime. Check out their collection and set that up. Very cool. Very cool. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Well, Ron, I gave you a little warning. Well, it's before we do that. We'll do this first. I wanted to ask you a couple interview questions. It sounds like from what you gave us some great stories during the presentation of drinking beer in a cow pasture, collecting minerals. That sounds like a great afternoon, for sure. What age did you start becoming interested in minerals?
I grew up in northeastern Pennsylvania in a little housing development right on the edge of a strip mine and lots of woods. And I used to go for walks with my father. When I was 5 years old, I found quartz crystals and fern fossils in the strip mines, and I was hooked. And from 5 years old on, I'm a lifetime mineral collector.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So what was your progression? You and I touched on this briefly when we were testing things out tomorrow, but from 5 years old, how did you end up? Give us your life timeline where you ended up at Westchester University publishing books on Pennsylvania mining history.
Well, actually, when I was a kid, I collected more fossils than minerals because there was tons of fossils in the strip mines. And I had a humongous collection of plant fossils that I had put together. Unfortunately, I came home from college one day and Dad, where's my fossils? He said, oh, those rocks, I got rid of them. They were taking up too much space.
Oh.
So my entire collection disappeared when I was in college. And when I was in college, I was collecting more minerals than fossils because I went to Westchester University. That's where I got my degree in geology. In southeastern Pennsylvania, there's not many fossils. So at that point, I decided I think I would rather go with minerals than fossils. I became a mineral collector. I graduated from Westchester University. I got a job with the U.S. Geological Survey. I started with a 9-month temporary appointment, which I became permanent the day before my appointment ran out. So that was pretty close. And I worked for the U.S. Geological Survey for 41 years. And I did the Chester County book while I was still working for the survey. And I was aware of the Mineral Museum at Westchester University, and I contacted Dr. Leon Schroge, who was the mineralogy professor at the time. And I said, can I photograph some of the minerals in the museum? And she said, sure. And I set up my gear. She opened up the cases. I photographed everything I wanted. And then she took me around the back and she opened up this, I guess it's an oversized janitor closet is what it really is, and full of cases of, drawers of minerals. And she says, the rest of the collection is in here. There's some books that tells you what they are. There's numbers on the minerals. I'm busy, help yourself, lock the door when you're done.
Oh.
So I said, okay, well, here's drawer number 1. It says Britain 1 of 50. And I open up the drawer and there's these minerals just rolling around loose, smashing into each other, no labels, no boxes. Open up another drawer. There's these calcites that were collected in England in the 1800s, just rolling around, banging into each other. And I decided when I retired from the U.S. Geological Survey, as my good deed, I would straighten out their mineral collection. So I sent an email to Dr. Schroge and I said, I hear that you can use a curator for the mineral collection down at Westchester. And she said, well, come on down. We'll meet with the department chairman. We'll talk about it. So I sat down with him, and the first thing he said is, we can't afford to pay anyone to do this. And I said, oh, well, I don't want money. I'm looking to do it as a volunteer. It's like my good deed. And they were like, oh, how soon can you start? And so they made me an honorary professor. I'm on part of their faculty. I'm on my own office, access to all the analytical equipment, the library services, parking permit, the whole 9 yards there. So it's it took me a long time to straighten out the mineral collection. I worked on that 20 hours a week for at least 3 years. Everything's in a box, everything's got a label on it, everything's got a unique number, and it's all in a database. And the collection was, dates back to 1826, and after working with it all day, I was pretty filthy sometimes. And they were, oh, look at you. You look like you came out of a coal mine. Oh, God. And I'm like, I'm in heaven. All these minerals, from the 1800s, I'm just in heaven here working with this stuff. So anyway, I've been at Westchester University for about the last 10 years or so.
Oh, that's awesome. What a story. And I mean, yeah, to be able to go back and clean up that chaos, what a great thing to be able to do. And yeah, I mean, I can imagine the joy of being able to do that. Great story. All right. This is always a hard one, and I will ask for favorite, but I'll take top 5. In your personal collection, what are your top 5 favorite pieces you have? And all that.
Oh, well.
I know it's hard. It's hard.
One of my favorites are some rather large apatites that I collected at the Bear Lake diggings in Torrey Hill, Ontario. And there's a whole story that goes along with that. If you got some time, and you want to hear it, I can tell you that one.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay, back in the day, I used to go with some friends up to Canada mineral collecting for a week every summer. And we'd caravan a bunch of cars and we'd go to all these different spots and we'd collect and we'd camp and we'd wind up at the Bancroft show. And that was the finale of the week. So one day it's like September. My father says to me, son, who you going collect in Canada next summer? I said, well, I guess so. It's a little early to plan for it, but I think I am. He said, well, how about me and you go on a father-son collecting trip? And I said, well, Dad, you're not interested in minerals. I've never had any interest in minerals. He said, well, I'm retired now. I want to learn. I need a new hobby. I said, well, okay. So we planned this father-son mineral collecting trip to Canada for a week. But as it turned out, he really didn't have an interest in minerals. It was just that he worked nights, my mother worked days. They retired at the same time. They were face-to-face 24/7. And this was the only excuse he could think of to get out of the house for a week. But we had a great time. I went up, I picked him up, threw all his junk in my van, and off we went. And he says, I got a canned ham. He says, I packed a canned ham. Says, all right, some night we're camping, we'll have a canned ham for dinner. So it's towards the end of the week. I made arrangement. Wrote a letter, got into the Lincoln Quarry in Beamsville. Beautiful calcite clusters in vugs in the rock. And there was this big boulder sitting on the quarry floor, just full of these calcite vugs. So I had my sledgehammer and I was just kind of breaking it down. And my father's standing there looking at me, watching me, and took a break for a few minutes to rest. And he looks at me, goes, son, they make convicts do that for punishment.
Oh my God, that's great.
So anyway, we're at the end of the week. We're at the Bear Lake. We got there after lunch, and I'm looking around. There's lots of trenches there, and I see these chunks of big apatite crystals laying around. And there's this kind of crevice in the rocks. So I'm feeling around, it's full of sand, and I feel something really big. So I work it out, pull it out, and it's a perfectly double terminated apatite crystal. And it's huge. It's probably about a foot long and about 6 inches in diameter. And it's
Holy
perfect.
crap.
And I reach in and I feel around, I find another one and I work it out. And by the time I'm up to the end of my shoulder, I'm pulling the third one out. I couldn't get in any deeper. It was starting to get dark. We're in the middle of nowhere. I said, Dad, time for that canned ham for dinner tonight. So he digs through his stuff and he pulls out a can of Spam. And I've been picturing this 5-pound Polish ham in a can all week. And he hands me this can of Spam. I said, this isn't ham, this is Spam. He goes, ham, Spam, same thing.
That's
Oh God.
that's a great story, and that's totally my dad. My dad was all about the Spam.
Oh man.
Great story.
But
Oh Ron, that's amazing.
we had a great week together though. We really did.
Talk about great memories. Talk about it.
I'd be hard pressed to come up with some of my other favorites. Our USGS office moved to the Great Valley Corporate Center when they were just building it. So the Corporate Center is a big circular road. So we were the first building in, and they were just building the other buildings. And we go out at lunchtime to the construction sites, and I found some really nice smoky quartz crystals on the construction sites. We'd have to go there at lunch because if they were working, they'd kick us off. And we have the annual daily who could find the biggest limonite cube contest. And we ran that every day till Craig Moore painted a brick brown and tried to pass it off as a limonite cube.
Oh man, that's great.
Wow.
Oh, that's too funny.
That's where I first met you. My son and I were out there looking for limonite cubes, and you came out to see what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Bob Good.
Yeah,
That's great.
that was it. We were finding, my son was bringing back, he was 5 or 6. He was bringing back anything black. I said, no, brown and square. He brought me back
to
to
them. Actually, we found buckets of them.
Yeah.
But it's all, grass and buildings now. That's all gone.
Yeah.
That's when you just have to start waiting for them to not have that corporate center and tear it back down again.
Yeah.
Just gotta wait it out. Well, Ron, I appreciate you allowing me a few interview questions. I think you answered my second one while answering, or my third question with the second one, which was favorite piece and favorite story, because those went together perfectly. So, yeah, I open the floor. If anyone has any questions for Ron, please by all means ask away.
Jake, if I might,
Of course. George Stroop, everyone.
Ron, thank you very much for everything you've done. Your books are fantastic, and you've very kindly answered a few of my emails several years ago, and I much appreciate it. But regarding when you were talking about the water from the Brookdale mine and Wheatley losing that lawsuit battle, I believe it was John Thompson, the oldest Thompson brother, who busted through that shaft that you got the nice picture of, and they now use the water, or last year they used the water from that shaft to water the entire golf course. They had a pump sitting there, and they would pump it into all their ponds, and they would use it. So it wasn't all bad, I guess, or else they got all the lead out of it, because the grass is nice and green over there these days. Anyway, thank you very much.
Well, interestingly enough, I had that question about is there lead in the drinking water in that area? And one of the wells, I think it even might be the owner of who owns the property that the Wheatley engine shaft was on, had a well that actually penetrated the mine workings. And I took water samples from all the wells in that whole area and had it analyzed for the entire list of minerals, metals that occur at the Wheatley mines. And it came up zilch, nothing, pure, good drinking water. And what I found out is that lead is only soluble in alkaline water. And the water there is pretty acidic. It's neutral 7, and it's generally around 5.5. So the water is not leaching anything out of the ore deposits. What it is doing is leaching away your copper pipes in your plumbing system in your house.
Well, it's been there for 200 million years, so it's pretty much going to stay where it is.
Yep.
Hey, this is Ted Schnipper. Ron, how you doing?
Hi, Ted.
We met, I don't know if you know, at the Mineral Fossil Fair back in well, not too long ago, in March of March 30th.
Mm-hmm.
So I came in at the end of your presentation, but I got to meet you. Talking about the acidity, I had a house in Malvern, and the piping, as you said, if you had copper, it was eating it away, and we had to put a neutralizing. Since our pH was at 5, I mean, it was so low that if you didn't do anything with the water, the pipes. In fact, some of the neighbors, they had problems with their piping. Anyhow,
Yeah,
just a little bit of background.
Those blue and green stains in your sink in your bathtub, that was your pipes.
Yep. So question I'll have, and I know there'll probably be others, but just, you've written a number of books. So of each of the counties that you've been in, if you had to pick one site that you say was your favorite, which one out of each of the counties would you say was your favorite?
Good question, Ted.
I would have to say the Phoenixville mines. They have an interesting history. They have a wide variety of beautiful minerals, and you can still go there and collect.
What about like some of the other counties like Berks or Montgomery, Delaware?
Well, a lot of the sites in Delaware County, all the classic pegmatite sites that produce the beryls and the garnets, all those quarries, they're pretty much gone. They're filled. Same thing with Montgomery County. A lot of the quarries, the land is too valuable to leave an open hole. So they do what they call a clean reclamation site, and they dump construction debris, asphalt, bricks, dirt, and they fill them up. And then they grade them and they sell it as valuable real estate. So a lot of those are disappearing.
Thank you. I'll let somebody else ask questions.
Ron, I have a question. I really enjoyed your presentation, as I have before. I noticed the stock certificate from the New York and Boston or whatever had a Stanton name on it. And I just didn't know if you knew whether that pedigree of the Stantons, the same ones that did a lot. Well, they stopped in Maryland, they went to Ducktown, Tennessee, and up on the Copper Range, up in Michigan, as far as investors. And I can't imagine that Wheatley wasn't in good communication with that whole realm of investors.
Yeah, I really don't know the history of the name on there. But yeah, a lot of the, like the people that were invested in the Bristol copper mines also invested in the Ecton Audubon mines. They invested in the Phoenixville mines. I'm sure
Right.
they had investments in other mines around as well.
Thanks.
We have a
Okay.
question from Dr. Kyle Trossel. Are there some historic lead artifacts linked to the lead mines? I guess things that were made from the lead. Kyle, do you want to clarify that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I was just wondering if, you know, there's some interesting factoid, like 60% of the bullets at Gettysburg were made from the lead coming out of these lead mines, or like what ultimately was it ammunition for guns, or are there actual other more like ballast for ships, all sorts of different things that where did it end up?
Well, you know, that's, I have no idea. I've never run across that in the literature or anywhere else of where the lead went or what they did with it. I used to, when I worked for USGS, I always had a parade of people coming through the office. Typically, I think I found a meteorite. You know, it's like, no, it's slag. And I had one guy call up and lived near Phoenix, in that area in Phoenixville. He says, I found something. I think it's a lead ingot. I dug out of my garden. I said, bring it in. And that's what it was. So it may have actually been some of the lead that was smelted in Phoenixville. You know, it didn't have any markings on it or not, but it was definitely part of a lead ingot. But where the stuff went, I don't know. It was a little late in the Civil War. They just started mining in 1864, so it was, you know, less than a year probably, and the war was over. So probably not too many bullets made out of it.
Okay, thanks.
All right.
Anyone else have questions for Ron?
If
All right,
not,
I kind of
Yeah.
have one little. Oh, who's talking? Sorry.
No, this Ted. I put something in the chat, but maybe you didn't see it. So, Ron, you had mentioned when I saw you that you allow visitors to come to the Westchester collection. I don't know if you just want to tell everybody when and, you know, so what they can see.
Okay. Well, it's, you know, you have to make arrangements with me, and generally a weekday when I'm down there. I have a rather sporadic schedule, but if you really want to see the collection, the museum is open every day during the school year, Monday through Thursday, 10 to, I think, 2, maybe 3 o'clock. I have given small club groups a tour of the museum. The room that the collection is in is very small, and you know, if you have probably more than 4 people in there looking at it, they're poking each other in the eye with their elbows. But you know, if you have a great desire to see the Westchester collection, certainly contact me, and I can make arrangements to show it to you. There's it's about 6,000 pieces, and it's in 2 different rooms. So it's a lot of drawers of minerals, and they're it's arranged by the collection is actually a collection of collections. So it's arranged by collection. There's 4 old collections that are on permanent loan from the Chester County Historical Society. One that belonged to one of the Britons of the Britton Quarry family that was collected in the late 1800s. Another one that belonged to Hugh McKinstry, who was a famous mineralogy professor at Harvard. There's the collection of Dr. Corson that was collected in the 1800s. He was a physician in Montgomery County. There's a lot of stuff in there from Montgomery County sites that you're not going to see in any other collection anywhere else. So there's several other collections, and it's arranged by collection. And so, I would like someday to have one big room where I could arrange things by species or something more more logical, but that's probably not going to happen.
Are you there next week?
Um,
I don't know if the school's open.
I will be down at the beach for the first half of the week, and then in New York City for the second half.
Okay.
So I will not be around next week.
You won't be around. Okay. All right. And your contact information, I don't know if you want to give it out, or Jake, or
Well, you go on the Westchester website and look at faculty for the Earth and Space Sciences department, and so you'll find my picture a little write up in my email address. So that's an easy way to get hold of me.
Okay, thank you.
We have a question in the chat. Where in Northeast PA did you grow up? May I ask?
A town called Peckville.
All right, Ron, I've got a weird one for you. It was the end of last year, and I stopped by the Brookdale, and John, one of the owners, was there, and he had just pulled recently a very large piece of timber that was floating around the shaft. And just in conversation, he brought up that he had heard the Army Corps of Engineers had closed that shaft at one point, and he wasn't sure if the timber was original from when the shaft was set up or something left over from the Army Corps of Engineers. But that was the first time I'd ever heard the Army Corps of Engineers being involved at any point on that property. And I think you know the answer to this.
I seriously would doubt that the Army Corps of Engineers was involved. That's something they do not do. They build dams.
Yeah.
They don't seal up mine shafts.
It seemed really far-fetched, but it popped to mind while we were sitting here, and I'm like, let's get an answer from the expert on this. All right, well, I'll actually pass that information along to John next time I see him.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else?
If there aren't any other questions, we do have a giveaway to give away.
Oh, yeah, get that figured out, will you? Well, listen, one more time, let's thank Ron for answering a million questions, for giving us a killer talk. And we can't wait to have you back the next time. And of course, I'm super excited to find out I have another book to buy. So I was elated when I found out there was going to be a Delaware County. This is breaking Rockhound news.
No, very cool, very cool.
And a bunch of thank yous, Ron, in the text chat in there, thanking you for taking the time to do this and for the excellent presentation.
Well, thank you. My pleasure.
Great. Thank you, Ron. All right, Andrew, all you, buddy.
All right, so we did 1 to 100. I'm gonna go to Google random number generator. I've set 1 as the minimum, max is 100. I'm hitting generate right now. And our number is 80. So, who is closest?
I saw an 88, I think, in there.
Well, it's closest without going over.
Yeah. Oh, without going over. I see a 73 from Mr. Dan Sackerman.
Bill Geary, 75.
75.
Oh, yeah, there's Bill. Bill at 75, getting closer. There's that 88 I saw. See a 72.
Yeah, I think it's Bill. It's Bill.
Hey, congratulations, Bill.
All right, congratulations, Bill Geary. You've got 5 pieces of North Carolina mica book clusters in a bag. Congratulations. All right.
You can probably save the shipping because I'm sure we'll see Bill sooner than later.
Yeah, right.
Did anyone have any questions for leadership, general questions for the floor? Hey, listen, I think we've got a couple of minutes. Alex, you up for it? You're muted, brother.
Okay. Sure, I'll do it. So the other day, was thinking a bit, especially like Jake actually gave me some of the idea. He was bemoaning over the fact that he can't buy a mine. And so I was thinking, the Pennsylvania state actually has miles and miles and miles of old abandoned mines. If the company goes belly up and stuff, the state can and does occasionally come in and take over the property in order to reclaim it. So I had an interesting idea. Why not pitch this state making a rockhound state park? I'm sure you all know that it's really hard to find places to legally rockhound in the state. And again, this land is already sitting barren and have pretty much useless. And so we could make it a place where we can officially go on rockhound. There are other places in the parks of the country that do that. Little Buffalo and Swatara State Park allow fossil collecting there. There's Rockhound State Park in New Mexico. There's Crater of Diamonds in Arkansas. Of course, we're not going to be that big, but and the neat thing is it would require very little setup. I mean, throw down a few signs and designate a parking area or something, and it would be a pretty easy and cheap park to make. So that's my big idea.
And pardon, when when Alex brought this to me, it immediately went off like a light bulb because I immediately thought of Rockhound State Park and Crater of Diamonds. So Alex and I are going to put heads together this week, work on some wording, and we'll probably do like a change.org petition or something like that. And we'll identify, some key government officials to try to send this to with a, worked up idea. So they're not just, we want a hunk of land. Deb makes a good point. Wouldn't that be insurance prohibitive? Possibly. That's something, I mean, same as Swatara State Park, the liability would be essentially the same for the state. So they're already would be kind of aware of what would be required there. And let's be honest, it would, they have put up electric fences. So Katie, to answer your question, and Katie, I just answer your question there. I think I've got your, I think I got an email from you from the website. I will touch base with you. Message me on Facebook or drop an email to New Geology Club at gmail.com, and we'll get you sorted out. But back to Alex's idea, I just think it's a great idea. I think even if it doesn't go anywhere and we don't get very far, I think we just need to, we'll keep the thing going and we'll just keep resubmitting it every time it gets another 100 names on it. The worst they can do is say no. But it is very prohibitive in the state. Almost every other state has a good number of sites you can either pay to dig at or get into, and it's just getting tighter and tighter in PA for a various number of reasons. So, but we are actively seeking fresh permissions from quarries. Andy and Melissa Wyatt are helping with that. I've actually been contacted by members of the community who are working on our behalf as well to try to get more sites available to us for collecting. And we've got plans. We can't really go into them, but we'll break into stuff as things progress. But Alex, thanks for jumping in there and stepping right up to the mic and talking. Be watching Geology Club on Facebook, and I'm sure we'll get something up on the website too once we get this idea rolling a little further. But this is what the club's all about. I want to give people, and we all do, we want to give people a forum, a place to bring up ideas, a place to grow ideas. And that's what we're here for. And that's, been conversations Andrew and Andy and I have had since the planning stages late last year. This is Andrew said earlier, this is an experiment. And we're going to just keep running new ideas and listening to you guys. And Alex, don't think I forgot. Alex asked me to put together a comprehensive list nationally of pay-to-dig sites. That's going to take me a minute, brother.
Actually, I think I found one.
Oh, did
I need
you?
to get it to yeah.
Oh, you're welcome then.
That's all right. I'll
Problem
forward it
solved.
to you when I get a chance.
That's awesome. That is awesome. All right. I think I've run out of things to say. Does anyone else have any other questions they'd like to float for the evening?
Our next meeting is going to be
Dean.
Dean Rucco.
Dean Rucco, who is working on a fossil presentation for us. I've not gotten the final name for that of exactly what he's doing, but Dean, how old is Dean? Andrew, maybe 19, 20?
I believe he's 20-ish.
Yeah, in his early 20s, and his passion for fossils in our region and his knowledge of the fossils in the area and sites is absolutely amazing for a young man. And he's just he's a good kid, and we're looking forward to hearing what he's got to say. I've been privileged to see some pictures of his more recent finds he sent to me, and I think you're going to be amazed of what comes out of this region that you guys don't see pictures of on the internet generally. It's I'm not much of a fossil guy. I'm an ore guy. I like my minerals. But some of the stuff he shows me even gets my interest up a little bit and has me paying attention.
And his stuff is applicable throughout, even from York County all the way up to New York. So
yeah, he's very knowledgeable about that. So next, I know Deb is excited. Deb, when you were one of the first people to ask to make sure we got fossil stuff, and I will hopefully by next a meeting have another fossil related program to announce. You've got the month after this for I cannot recall her name right now. I'll defer to you.
Well, first Sunday is my class at the Montour Fossil Pit. So I invite everyone out Sunday to Montour Fossil Pit. I'll be doing a presentation in the Nature Center first. I believe it starts at 1 p.m. or 2 p.m., something like that. I have to look at that again. I'll be sending out social media blasts tomorrow. I think there's a newsletter going out that I'm going to share. So I'm revamping my presentation. It's the history of the Susquehanna River region and its fossils. And I go all the way back to 600 million years ago with, graphics and all kinds of crazy things. I'm going to be using scenes from my extinct sponges video where I recreated undersea life. Well, I'm going to be using that to show people what the creatures were before they died, and then now what they're finding as well in the same scene. So they'll see it crawling around while it's also dead on the screen. So great resource. Working on that. I've got to get it finished by Sunday. I've also got to make a whole bunch of trilobites. We'll have painting trilobites. I make plaster trilobites, and you can paint them, decorate them, all that kind of stuff. So lots of fun. Sunday, Montour Fossil Pit.
While we're talking about weekend stuff, I did send an email out today to everyone who was signed up for the Brookdale trip on Saturday. With the inch of rain we're getting on Friday, I have chosen to postpone that trip as the diggings at Brookdale will be a giant slip and slide of mud, and nobody really needs all that. I will drop an email out once I look at the calendar and figure out another day to do another dig there. Something we'll be raising funds for eventually. I know Andrew will be excited for this too. At some point in the future, we will ask the owners over there, and we'll do a machine dig at Brookdale. We'll announce that. I wouldn't expect it this year because the funds aren't there, but we may do a special fundraiser at some point to bring that idea to fruition. And we will never, I don't think, be able to experience it the way Ron did with getting that long 4 and 5 foot deep trench dug, which sounded absolutely amazing. But we'll replicate it as best we can.
Yeah, and that's easily done. We just have to get the right amount of people together. Just a very small fee, 20 whatever bucks for the right amount of people, and John will dig us a hole. No cases of beer needed. Although I think you can get beer up at the Caddy Shack up at the top of the hill. I'm not sure, but anyway, thank you all for coming out tonight. This has been amazing. This club is growing quite rapidly, and we're hoping to bring you quite amazing things here in the future. The presentation after Dean is going to be Dr. Jen Patea. It's going to be on fossil footprints and things here in Pennsylvania that were left by the dinosaurs, since we don't actually have any dinosaur bones.
Oh, George just looked up, because I know George is all about that. George has gone on his own little quest about fossil footprints in PA. So it sounds like for the fossil fans, we've got like 3 months of fossil meetings coming up. So you guys are going to be in good shape for that. And then we'll circle back to some more gem and mineral goodness after that.
Awesome. Well, we are going to spread out to some other states as well. There's some other stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
So it's just Pennsylvania. So, yep, great things on the way.
Absolutely. Well, Andrew, I believe we've kind of come to a natural end here. So I will wish everyone a thank you for joining us tonight. Another thank you to Ron for an excellent presentation. And thanks to everybody. And I'll throw it to Andrew and then Andy, and we'll send you all off to Dreamland.
Yes, Ron, I can't thank you enough. I have personally seen at least one of the rooms at Westchester when you allowed me to come there and work with you on the SEM. That was a lot of fun. Sorry that it was just rust that we found. That was quite embarrassing. But that is going to be in a Dirtman report. I just have never finished it because I never knew what to do after we found rust. But it's going to come out eventually, and you all are going to love it. So anyway, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And Andy, leave us off with some words of wisdom.
Just like Jake and Andrew said, thank you to everybody for stopping out. Thanks especially to Ron. That was an awesome presentation. I'm just, looking through the chat, it was very well received. Everybody, it was all positive comments. So, thank you again. Next meeting is May 13th, I believe.
I think that sounds right.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll see everybody and maybe a few more.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming out. I want everyone to have a good rest of your week. Stay safe out there. And as I've said too many times, happy hounding. Take care, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, all. Catch you next month.